This new Arcanist class is absolutely insane. Check this out. What is going on, guys? It is Venom Church here, and welcome to another episode of Elder Scrolls Online. Today we are looking at the new Arcanist class, and specifically a tank build. I just put on my gear that I use on my normal tank and just went through and looked at the skills, and this thing is a beast. I barely had to try to stay alive at all when I was soloing through on Kyne's Aegis. So let's take a look at what I am wearing. So we're going to speed through kind of the normal stuff, and then we'll take some time at the skills. Right now I am using leeching on the front bar. This is a crusher. It should actually be infused, not decisive. Doesn't matter what one hand, but we're doing one hand of that and a shield that is sturdy with max stam. Leeching gives you max health, healing taken max health, and then when you take damage, you spawn a cloud underneath the enemies that deals 1300 poison damage every second, and it heals me for 100% of the damage caused. This scales off of your max health and it has 100% uptime. This is your survival bar, so you'll be mainly staying on this. And then this comes from Imperial City Prison. You can do this on normal or vet, and if you do it for the first time, you also get a special shield that also talks to you. It's amazing. You should definitely get that. On the back bar, we are using Drake's Rush. This comes from Black Drake Vila. You can do it on normal or vet. We are using Shocks with Decisive on it. You could also do Charged if you don't want to get as much ultimate. But this is doing health, stam, and then when you bash an enemy, you and up to 3 other group members, so it's good for dungeons, gain major heroism for 12 seconds, guaranteeing us 3 ultimate every 1.5 seconds. It can occur every 18 seconds. So we are using a leeching shield on the back, and this allows us so that way when we're on our front bar, we have full leeching, and then when we swap to the back bar, we are full Drake, so that way we can run both because we are using a Mythic and Monster Helm setup. So we are using Drake Rush on the 4 pieces of the body, and then leeching on the jewelry. As far as the jewelry, healthy or infused, it doesn't really matter. We just want that mag recovery there. On the body, we're doing sturdy with max health on the small pieces, and then infused prismatic defense on the big pieces. For the monster set, we're using the Lord Warden. This is just one of your options. This is actually in light armor, both the shoulders and the helmet, and I will get to that in a second. So this gives you max armor, and then when you take damage, you have a 50% chance to summon a shadow orb for 10 seconds. That increases our physical and spell resistance of you and your group members by within 8 meters by 3k. It can occur once every 10 seconds. This is very nice for group survival. You have some other options as well. You could also use something like Earthgore if you also want to help with your group utility. For the mythic set, we are using Bloodlords and Brace. This is also infused with Tristat. When you bash someone, which works with our Drake's Rush, when you bash someone, preferably the boss, when you bash them, they get a debuff on them that lasts forever. Unless they teleport, it usually falls off. But when you block an enemy, when you block an attack from that enemy, you restore 1600 magicka every second, so it's a very nice magicka refill, and we do use quite a bit of magicka skills, so this is very nice. For our consumables, you have a couple of options. You could just use Be with Sugar Skulls. That's what I'm currently using. You could also just use your normal Crown Fortifying Meal. We just want the max pools. And then we're just using a Tristat potion. You could also use normal stam trash potions if you are heavily blocking. Now this is on the PTS. I get a lot of people asking how I have so much money, so I just want to point that out. So for the character sheet, we have 64 attributes into health. Our max health is around 50k, so doing pretty good there. We got 20k mag and 24k stam. Our recoveries are actually quite good. We got about 1900 mag recovery, 1500 health recovery, and about 20k spell resist, and this is unbuffed. Once we buff up here, our recoveries get a little increase. We get 2100 mag recovery, 1700 health recovery. More importantly, our resists are over cap. We're at 33k, so we are just over cap, and this is without Lord Wardens, by the way, so that is very, like, Lord Warden is not really going to be benefiting us when we are actually buffed up, but that does mean we don't need to rely on it to stay up. So if that has a cooldown or if something else falls off, we will have enough armor. And that is why we are using light pieces on the head and shoulders. When I was originally doing this, I was like 36k resists, and I was not trying to get armor. This is not heavily armor set pieces, so it got pretty crazy. I'm actually going to skip the skills real quick. We're just going to hop into the champion points. Since we're used to the normal stuff, we're doing duelist rebuff for reducing single target attacks, enduring resolve to reduce the DOTs, unassailable to reduce the AoEs, and then we're coming into here and we're getting ironclad to reduce the direct damage. Make sure to get all your passives, especially in here, they're very important. Over in the red tree, we're coming over here. We want to get boundless vitality for more health, fortified for more armor, which we could also technically drop that if we wanted to, since we have Lord Warden. And then rejuvenation for recovery. And then we're coming down here to slippery. I love having that free break free. If you want to get rid of that armor, you could do something that helps with the crowd control immunity, or maybe come down here and get a free roll dodge. Since we are in heavy armor, it can be expensive. Okay, now for the skills. Since this is a new class, this is going to be a little new to some people. So we're coming down into the one-handed shield and we're getting heroic slash. This gives the enemy minor maim, reducing their damage by 5% for 15 seconds, and gives us minor heroism. We only use this for the heroism. We already have a source of minor maim, which we'll get to later. Next up, we are going into the curative rune forms. This is the healing tree, and we are going down to the fourth skill, the Xena's empowering disc. So when you hit this, which costs 3.6k magicka, it creates a 8 meter AoE for 20 seconds. When you stand in this, you and your allies get minor recovery buffs for all resources, as well as minor courage. Initially, I would run Necrom on my tank instead of Drake's Rush, but because of this, I swapped that out since we already get the minor courage here. This morph allows the buffs to stay with you and your allies for up to 10 seconds after you leave the vortex, so this technically could mean it lasts for 30 seconds. So you want to keep this up at all times. Now when you hit this, it stays still like the Templar Purge circle, so if you walk out, you're not going to receive the buffs after those 10 seconds. Next up, we are going into the Soldier of Apocrypha. This is the tank line, and we are getting the second skill here, the Spite Ward of the Lucid Mind. So this is our shield. Now it's 3.7k magicka, and it lasts for 6 seconds. When you hit this, it gives us a damage shield that absorbs 16k health. When you take damage for the first time, it retaliates and hits the enemy for 3k. This damage scales off of your armor, and then the amount that you're receiving from your shield also scales off of your health. The other morph does make it so that way you get a bigger health shield for the first second. It's about a 28k shield, very powerful, but it's only for the first second, and then it bumps back down to like 18k. And then you can consume Crux to heal yourself for 5k, which is on the default skill, and that scales off of your health. But the reason why I chose this morph is because this also makes it so we get a 30% refund per Crux spent. So if you don't know, that little floating triangle around me is a Crux. Once we get 3 of them by using a certain skill, we can spend all of it, and this is 90% off. When I was using this, it costed 400 magicka for a 16k damage shield, and that heal is much bigger than that heal. I'm actually healing for 18k. So I got the 3 cruxes here. I'm gonna pop my shield. I just healed for 18k and gained a 16k shield with 1 skill. Very, very powerful for 400 magicka. This is insane. Now we're going to go down into the assault line. We are using Caltrops. This is an AoE stam skill. When you throw this out, everyone's movement speed is reduced by 50%, and all the enemies have major breach, so they get reduced armor by 6k. And that 4.5 seconds resets every time they take damage, by the way, so it's really like 14 seconds. The thing with this is, why would we normally use that when you could use your poke that most tanks use? Well, they really wanted us to use these Arcanist skills and feel unique. So the next up skill is Runic Sunder. This is how the entire build works. I mean, this thing is probably one of the most powerful skills, just tons of powerful skills in this class. So it's a ranged attack. It's only about 15 meters though, so it is kind of short, and then 1300 stamina. When you hit this, you don't deal much damage, but you steal the armor from the person. So you get 2200 armor extra. That's how we get 2 cap with this skill as well. And we do minor maim on them, which is why we don't really need this skill. We just use it for the minor heroism. And then it also taunts the enemy for 15 seconds. So now it's a taunt that's also ranged. And then you can spam this and it won't cause taunt immunity. It will only taunt them if it won't cause the taunt immunity. So it's a smart taunt. And the reason why you want to spam this is because each time you hit this, it generates crux. And while this is slotted on your front bar, damage taken is reduced by 2% per active crux. So just by having this here, we're getting more armor, reducing the damage of the enemy, and we're gaining the crux, and it's a ranged taunt. So that is why we have Razor Caltrops, is we still need breach, and now this allows us to have an AoE breach. Next up for the ultimate, we're going back into the Soldier of Apocryphica. I probably just butchered that. And we're using the Gibbering Shelter. So when you hit this, it's only 180 ultimate and it lasts for 10 seconds. This goes onto yourself and it forms a tentacle damage shield that absorbs 60% of all damage that you take for 10 seconds up to a maximum of 108k damage. Now 60% meaning 40% of that damage is still hitting you in the face. Now you got mitigation, you got blocking and stuff, so that may affect what the shield takes as well. But when this shield ends, it gives up to 6 allies within 15 meters a damage shield for 4 seconds. That absorbs about 19k damage for them, and that shield can be applied once every second. And both of these shields scale off of my max health. So this is a very nice survival and kind of utility if everyone's going to get hit. However, it is kind of lackluster in the way that there are other ultimates that just help the group more, which we'll get to in the back bar. Next up, we're going down into the Soldier of Apocrypha, and we're using Rune Guard of Still Waters. Another Magicka skill, lasts for 20 seconds, and it creates a 10-meter radius. So when you hit this, it grants you and your group members minor resolve, so we get even more armor. And then after 1 second, it immobilizes enemies within 7 meters for 3 seconds. And we get minor protection, reducing our damage taken by 5%. And if you are damaged while below 50% health, the minor protection is consumed and you'll heal for 15k health, which scales off of your max health. So this is very powerful and it stays with you. So when I hit this, it's not like this skill where you have to stay still. This thing follows you when you hit it, as long as the people are with you. So you get the minor resolve and minor protection while this is active, as well as your passes, which we'll get to later. Next, we're going down into the Undaunted line, and we are getting Overflowing Altar. This gives you AoE minor lifesteal. Your healers may have this. If they do, you'll want to swap that out. This gives minor lifesteal to all enemies within 28 meters, and that means when someone damages them, we all heal for 600 health. If someone drops really low, they can pop a synergy and that heals them for 65% of their max health. Now, because this is a named debuff, if a healer is running this, this is wasted. So you could slot something else. If you wanted, you could also slot your taunt thing on the back bar as well, just so you get that damage taken reduced on both bars. You could also throw out these teleport gates just for utility, but really I would probably just use that taunt thing just so we can get more reduced damage taken on the back bar. But next up, we're going into Soldier Apocrypha. I'm never going to pronounce that right. And then we're going to get Crux Weaver Armor. So this is another mag skill, so a lot of mag, which is why the 2 light armor also really help. So when you hit this, you get major resolve for 30 seconds, increasing our armor by 6k. And then while this is active, we also apply minor breach to anyone who attacks us for 6 seconds. And then we also get to generate crux once up to every 5 seconds when we get hit. So we're reducing the armor. So we got major and minor breach. And then we also gain more crux. So now we have a passive way of gaining crux as well as our active way, which is also taunting and giving us more armor. So this is just very, very survivable. This is amazing. Next up, we're going down here and we're getting Rune of the Coerced Pool. So this is really going to help in group content. When you hit this, it's a single enemy and it lasts for technically 20 seconds, even though it says 4 right there. So first you'll paralyze them if it's not a boss after 1 second, and it stuns them for 4 seconds. Then you apply minor vulnerability and minor brittle for 20 seconds, which increases their damage taken by 5% and crit damage taken by 10%. If this is used against a monster, the paralyze lasts for 8 seconds. Note that monster still can't be a boss or any of the elite mobs, and this ability cannot be dodged. So this is a very powerful thing. I'll use this on the boss, that way they take more damage, along with me just debuffing them as well. Sorry guys, this is the following day, so if my voice is a little different, that would be why. We're going over here into the Herald of the Tome, and we are getting Rune of Displacement. So this is a magicka thing that goes on an enemy, and it creates a radius around the enemy. And after 2 seconds, it pulls in all enemies, and that's why I use this, is it is a pull just like the Dark Convergence set, and basically everyone within 8 meters gets pulled together, and then they get a DOT on them. The DOT is not super massive, but it's mainly just for that pull is why I use this, and people can also synergize to at least deal extra damage. And then lastly, we're going down into the assault line and we are getting aggressive Warhorn. So this is still the preferred thing to use based on all of our ulti options on this class. This is still going to outperform everyone getting the max mag and max stam for 30 seconds and then the major force. It's just too good to not use. You could also use barrier instead. It's that way they also get more damage protection, which can even be better than this in some cases. Now it is more expensive, but it lasts for 30 seconds rather than 10. So overall, it's still kind of just better, which kind of sucks. But this is at least unique and kind of interesting, I guess. So we're going to go into the passives. You do want to usually get all the passives in the one hand, so that way you can be getting extra defense. And then you also want to get all of your heavy stuff, so you get more recovery and armor and all stuff like that, and as well as some light armor, because we want evocation for the magicka recovery, since we do use a lot of magicka skills, and this does give us a little bit more spell resistance as well. We also want to go down into the Undaunted and get these two, so that way we get more max health resources, and then we also get more stuff when we synergize. This build is a Nord, so we do want to get all of these passes that give us max health, frost resist, max stam. We get ultimate when we take damage and more resistance. You also want to get alchemy, you want to get medicinal use, so your potions last 30% longer. Now we're going to go look at the class stuff, and I'm going to go over everything just because this is a new class and people may not know what this thing has. So you gain crit damage and crit healing every time you spend crux, and it lasts for 7 seconds. That's not super massive for us because we're not dealing with any of that. This passive is worded wrong when you are restored magicka or stam. It's a little off there, but we gain more weapon and spell damage, which isn't really needed for this build. With this, if we have a Herald of the Tome ability slotted, we get increased damage dealt with status effects, and then Splintered Secrets also gives us more penetration per Herald Tome slotted. These don't matter for this build at all, but it is just nice to know since it is the new class. So for the tank line, you will want to get a lot of these. So the first one gives us more armor while we have an ability active on us. So just by having our resolve active, or our ward, or this, which has the stolen armor, which technically goes on us. So this will be active at all times, so we get 2k extra armor, which is another source of how we're so much resists very easily. We also gain more recovery per ability slotted from this tree, so you do want to have as many as possible on the front. You could swap out like Calatrops onto the back, so you can slot something up front as well, like this skill or this skill. It wasn't too much important to me, but it can be nice. The Circumvented Fate makes it that way whenever you use any Arcanist ability, all of your group members, and you gain minor evasion for 20 seconds, which reduces your damage from AoEs, and it can occur every 5 seconds. So this will basically be on at all times, which is amazing for more survivability. Implacable outcome: when we consume Crux, we also gain 4 ultimate every 8 seconds. That is very nice as well. Into the curative runes forms, we are getting this one, so that way it increases our healing done for each active Crux, which we will have them quite often and easily. So that can be nice just to help a little bit, especially with our shield, since it does have the good healing going on. Hideous Clarity: when we generate Crux, we also restore Magicka and Stamina, whichever is higher. In this case, it would be Stamina, which is nice for our perma-blocking. Erudation: we gain more recovery on both resources by 18%, which is very nice. And then Intricate Rune Forms: whenever we have one of the healing abilities slotted, it increases the strength of our damage shields, which is why we have this on our front bar, because then this shield is very nice. Now that brings me to another CP node that you could do. Instead of doing your break free, you could do something like Bastion to get better shields, or Shield Master. And I actually completely forgot about these when I made this build, so I actually would prefer to use Bastion over the Slippery, so I'm actually going to swap this out right now. So now when we're looking at this, it's almost a 19k shield, which is very nice. And if you were to do the other morph of that shield, you would be getting a 37k shield up front for 1 second, and then a 22k shield for 5 seconds. So that is very nice. However, that would consume Crux, whereas this reduces the cost of it, which I would prefer to just reduce the cost. Okay, so we are going to go into Kyne's Aegis. This is where I was testing the build earlier, and it is very easy to survive. Once I get into the second ad group, it does start getting a little dodgy because they keep stunning me, so I can't pop off my skills as much. But other than that, and I did this without the Bastion CP as well, so my shields are going to be stronger now. But this is a very easy to survive. Like, between leeching does help quite a bit, but it's not like Hellraw Citadel where there's so many enemies. So leeching isn't going to be doing as much as my ward is in here. So this is a very, very nice skill. So you want to put on your armor and your minor resolve as well as minor protection. I'm messing up my words here. So we're just going to run in here and we're going to pull everyone together. We want to steal armor with our taunt thing. We could put out Caltrops so they're not getting as much armor. We're gonna bash on our back bars, that way we can get the major heroism. And we'll just want to spam our taunt things, that way we can get the nice big shield. Make sure your armor stays up and the minor armor. You can throw out that DOT thing again, as well as the debuff. Roll dodge out of here because they keep stunning me. First time I had to use a potion and I didn't really even need to. We're doing very nicely here, and it is still quite easy to survive. Not really getting hurt at all, and just trying to keep this stuff up. I keep forgetting you also still want to make sure to bash on your back bar every, I think it's 20 seconds or 15 seconds, something like that, just to keep it going. We haven't even used our ultimate. We don't have a need for it. It is doing very nicely here. Just that single shield alone is enough to boost us back to full health and give us that like 16k ward. So it is, or 18k ward. So it is very, very powerful, very easy to handle. So this is not enough to kill us. So let's move with them and hope that they don't keep pulling me. Oh, we also ran out of food somehow. Don't know how that's happened. Could have sworn I popped it right before though, so I don't know how that went away. It might be a bug of some sort, but we're just gonna keep roll dodging over here. Gonna just pop my stuff so I stay alive here, and we're gonna get the second group in here. Now there will be quite a bit of stunning, so it can be a little sketchy in here, but it'll still be fairly survivable. We'll pop our ulti just because we have it now, since we're super low or super full on it. But I mean, we got tons of people. I'm not blocking either right now, so I don't have the block mitigation. Now that is also because they would like steal all my stamina away, and I like having my stamina, so I'm not gonna block in this case. We got low? Nope, we didn't, because we have a shield. That single shield is stupidly good. It is stupid. We're gonna pop our ulti just that way we can get a little boost going on here. Keep your buffs up. Every time we get a little low, just pop that shield. You're gonna be just fine. I'm getting stunned so much, sometimes I'm not even able to pop my shield. You'll also want to make sure to keep doing your taunt. And finally we died. Let's see how many Theans it took. So we had to take a 20 hit K, another 18k, and a 34k within very short time, just so that way they can kill us. And that was with all the stunning as well. So this is stupidly easy to survive. The only reason that would have happened is just because I couldn't pop my stuff. So I can't pull up. It won't let me see when I get hit. It's only showing who I hit rather than taken. But we can look at this. So we got down, if we get into here. So we were at full health at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Within 1 second is how we died. So we went from 92 all the way down because I couldn't pop my stuff. That is very powerful. That was just also how they had happened to line up. But yeah, this is a very nice, like, other than when we were starting to get low, which I don't even think our actual resources were having that issue. So, I mean, the Stam died because we died. So the Stam lowest point was like 85, 63 right there. So that was the lowest for the Stam. For the Mag, it did get a little lower. I think we got down to like 42 there. So it looks like 42 is the lowest. But yeah, this is a very easy build to survive with, and you'd be buffing your team like crazy. This is just crazy build. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was a very fun build to make. I just threw together my normal tank stuff and just grabbed the skills that seemed nice. We could change this build up a little more, get like the pulls in, because we don't have any type of pull other than that like small grouping skill. But honestly, this was a pretty fun setup and very powerful. I mean, that one shield skill is all you need basically. The amount of group utility as well. It's very, very nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you guys want to see more of this content. In the next few days, I will also have a healer and DPS build coming out hopefully soon. I've already built them and I just need to record and show them off. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.